Welcome to Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday evening, man. Welcome to another edition. It's time for a great night, man. This is Real Family Talk. Always a great Wednesday night when Real Family Talk is on the air as far as I'm concerned. Hope everybody's having a great night, man. It feels good in the city, beautiful. I know we're feeling pretty good here. Nice weather. It's not cool. It's not cold, I should say. It's a nice, cool breeze. Man, love this Florida weather. I don't know what I would do without it. Might find out, though. Let's go ahead and welcome everybody in the building. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. No complaints. Mr. King, how you doing, sir?
My brother. I'm here. I'm good. I'm in the building. Happy for Hump Day, Wednesday.
There you go.
Kind of disappointed about some things that's been going on around the world, but other than that, I'm here. That's all that matters.
All right. And Jamba's in the building this week. How you doing, Jamba?
I'm amazing, despite the dirty looks Mr. King's giving me. I'm still having a good night. Keep trying.
That's what I'm talking about. Miss McCray, she's listening tonight. She didn't make it in tonight, but I know she's listening. She told me she would be. So
Are you doing better?
Shout out to Better, man. So real quick, man, before we get to our topics tonight, we're going to talk the State of the Union was last night. The president gave the State of the Union last night. A lot of different reactions on Twitter, man. Twitter is exciting these days just to watch what people have to say as they watch programs or whatever the case may be. So a lot of things going on Twitter, a lot of Facebook posts about it as well, and we'll get into that. But and also, we had MLK Day was on Monday. The celebration of it anyway was on Monday. So just wanted to give us an opportunity to offer some thoughts on that as well. But like I said, we'll get to those things. But first, there was football this past weekend. We are now ready and know who's going to the Super Bowl. The Seattle Seahawks are back in the Super Bowl. Surprisingly, I did not expect that.
I did.
And then
I did as well.
And I think we talked about that too, didn't we?
And unfortunately, the New England Patriots are back in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's talk about those Patriots for a second.
What you got, Mr.
So,
King?
what's to talk about? I mean, they do what they do.
No, that's not what we're going to talk about right now. Right now, we're going to talk about Bill Belichick and the coach for the New England Patriots taking air out of the football.
That's what I said. They do what they do.
So that the team can actually win. Now, that's what I want to have some comments on for a second. Now, does that really bother the other team to lose 45-7? Or did it really have nothing to do with it? It just
honestly, I think maybe the deflated football thing may have had some legs if there was actually a close game. But clearly, they beat the socks off of the Indianapolis Colts, and so whether or not they had good footballs, bad footballs, or whatever the case may be, they got their behind whooped.
Yeah, and defense has something to do with it.
And then not to mention, they say the whole thing about the football is that deflating it is supposed to give you a better grip.
Right.
So if that's a better grip for Tom Brady, that should be a better grip for Andrew Luck.
No. They have separate balls.
Every
team has their own set of balls.
But see, from what they were saying was, what was the brother name who played from Warren Sapp was saying that the quarterback that he was the quarterback for him when he was playing football, used to like the ball rough. Each quarterback has their own way of how they like the ball,
right? Mm-hmm.
So I think Aaron Rodgers, like his ball actually expanded a lot more. He likes his bigger versus Tom Brady likes his a little bit smaller. So I think they're really just trying to nitpick. These guys are actually going in for their 5th Super Bowl ring. So we got to find some kind of news about the game to make it a bigger Super Bowl. And I think that's really what's going on. A little bit of propaganda, something that doesn't matter, but it still sounds like something, so we're going to make it news just to make the football game a little bit more bigger because nobody really cares about the halftime show. So we're going to give it some type of news. But, anything else y'all want? Because I really want to talk about these Seahawks. So
but you got to understand, though. I think, what's his name? Brian Dawkins put it best. At the end of the day, it was a rule, and if we know they broke the rule. It's all a matter of who said do it. Was it ordered by the coach? Did the equipment manager take it upon himself because he know what Brady likes? At the end of the day, it was a rule broken, so something needs to happen.
So that's a rule? That's a rule that you can't?
It is a rule. The football is supposed to be a certain weight and have a certain pressure. So it's a rule. Right.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah. That's why the story is running, because and then with the fact that they have already been caught cheating on one occasion.
On several occasions.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like they already have that reputation going behind them. And this is another. So this is like one more thing. So Stephen A. was saying this morning, if it's found that Belichick had something to do with it, he should be suspended for a year, like they did Sean Payton with the what they call it, the Bounty Gate, whatever they call
Right.
it.
But that's two different things, though, man.
To an extent, but they say really, what Sean Payton got suspended because he lied and said like he didn't know what was going on. So now Bill Belichick already been on record saying that he don't know what they're talking about. So if they come to find out that he ordered it, then he lied.
Well, yeah, I agree.
And then
with you, if that's the
they
case.
broke a rule.
Yeah.
It's all about breaking the rule. It's not
Everybody
about
know.
It's not about
There's
how much
nothing
effect it has on the game.
Gonna
Da, da, da,
happen
da.
to Bill Belichick and the
No,
Patriots.
you can't say that.
They gonna start picking up Ray Rice.
I don't know. You never know. I'm
might.
with it. If they pick up Ray
I
Rice
would- I
next
would.
year.
They already lying and cheating.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
What can you do?
So let's get on these Seahawks for a second, please. That's just the team that I want to talk about. I'm actually a Seahawks fan. I'm actually a Rich Sherman fan. So if he plays for the Seahawks, that's my team. Did anybody see that overtime victory that got them to the Super Bowl? If you didn't, that was an amazing game to be down 16-0 and come back and win in overtime 26-22.
Now, see, this is the funny part. I was watching the first, and they were playing so horrible. Me and my wife, I turned on I watched. I had taped Saturday Night Live. Kevin Hart was on, so I went back and watched the real on Saturday Night Live. And then when it went off, I turned the game back on, and that's when they started coming back. I saw the good part.
You saw the good part. You didn't see the first three interceptions. You
I didn't
just
see
saw
the first
one
three.
interception
Right.
in
Yeah.
the second half. Yeah, 'cause they was playing horrible in the second half, but you can't hold a good team down. You can't hold a good defense down. They got a good core, and ever since Pete Carroll has played as a coach for this team, it's just been something that the football guys just got over them, man, because they have the luckiest plays. And what's going to make this series so good is that Tom Brady was actually saying some actual negative words to the referees at one meeting that the teams had. Then the actual Seahawks won the game, I think, when they had the replacement refs, I think it was. And so Tom Brady and the actual team has an actual history. So I think this Super Bowl will be an actual good one, because Tom was very, very upset, had some interesting choice of words for the referees during that football game when the Seahawks had played the New England Patriots for the regular season. And it was some replacement refs, of course. So, things weren't actually flowing as they normally flow. But at the same time, it was still good.
No, that was when they had a replacement refs. That was when they played Green Bay and they beat them with the controversial call in the end zone.
No, that was, Tom Brady had man. I remember Tom Brady was cussing out the referees, man. I remember
But
that.
that was about 2 seasons ago, though.
No,
It was last year.
that was last
But
year.
that was the
year?
Packers though. It was the Packers.
Yeah.
No, the Packers was the year before last with the replacement refs.
No, they only
Tom
had
Brady was
replacement.
last.
They only
year.
had replacement refs one time.
Well, you know what? I got a homeboy named Google. I'm gonna call him.
Yeah, holla at
Well,
Google.
well, look,
I got a home. hold on.
This
Holla
is
at Google.
Green Bay killed themselves in that game. This is why I say that. These boys pushed 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and a fumble, and they only penalized Seattle off of 1,
Right.
and that was a field goal.
Yeah.
So if you can force 5 turnovers, and the team that you force 5 turnovers come back and beat you, you deserve to lose that game.
You really do.
Yep.
Like Roger say, this will be a game I'll never forget in my entire career.
Oh no, yeah, you better not ever forget this game.
because he
You can't
showed
forget
you
it.
up. He really showed you who you really are. You are not the discount double.
No,
shit
no,
that
no,
I
no,
thought
no,
you
no,
were.
no, no. Now I beg to differ now, because Aaron Rodgers, if you notice, they did not give Aaron Rodgers another chance when they started scoring. They tried to push the ball and keep the ball out of his hand, because Aaron Rodgers can go down the field and score whenever he wants.
I don't believe that if you up 16-0 in football, it's 4 quarters. Anybody who knows strategy behind football know we running the score up.
But see, which brings me to my next point.
That's
The
a
coaching-
coaching.
they
That's a
got
coaching
Pete Carroll.
decision. That's a coaching.
Seattle got Pete Carroll as the coach.
Well-
I ain't taking nothing away from
Mike McCarthy.
Green Bay coach.
I am.
Because
That's
he remind
he at
me
home.
it remind me, like I say all the time. You had Miami Heat last year in the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
You got Denver in the championship game. You got great leaders on the court, great leaders on the field, but when it comes down to that championship game, you don't have a coach.
Mm.
You need a coach to win your game for you.
Yeah, that's true.
You can always have your leaders out there to put the best foot forward, but you gotta have your coach to coach the game to win this game for you. That's all I'm saying.
And Pete Carroll, like I said, is an awesome coach. I don't
Phenomenal.
know. He does some things that, like I say, man, him and
It's a relationship status that he have with them players.
they all trust each other, though. They're a team. They're not just one player or a superstar. They're an actual team, and that's what I actually like about the Seahawks. They come together, the Legion of Doom, the offense, the defense. They don't just hold their head down. This mean threw 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions in one game. And you know what? Like you said, at the end of the game, they went back to him, put the ball back in his hands, and he threw the game-winning touchdown. So, that's a team effort. And that's why I love the Seahawks. They will be the next dynasty. They showed you that this year. Like,
we'll see about a dynasty.
Who is going to stop them next year? The same thing I said this year in the beginning of the year. Who is going to stop them?
Because when they came out at the beginning of the year, I said the same thing. These boys on fire. They ain't lost a beat.
I'm telling you.
I
And
said
they
the same thing.
But during the season, they're more like the Spurs. During the season, don't matter. In the playoffs, we're going to gel together and we're going to show y'all boys. And that's how everybody sees teams like them, in my opinion.
I got you. I have to agree with you. That's all I'm saying. Green Bay lost the game for themselves. And besides, I'm not a Green Bay fan anyway because they play in the division with my boys, and my boys sitting at home, so they need to be sitting at home too.
Well, I mean, haters gonna hate, but
that much is true, and I'm one of them. In Jesus' name.
Chris Shaw in the building, y'all.
Thank y'all so much.
I hear you, brother. I hear you, man. But hey, that's what the Super Bowl is: the Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. What day is it going down? I don't remember the actual day. February 1st. There it is, man. February 1st. So can't wait to see what happens, man.
Can't wait to see it. Get your EBT and fill up for the Super Bowl party.
But you crazy.
Is that how you do it, bro?
That's how I'm going to do it.
I hear you, dude. All right, man. We're going to keep it moving. John, I guess you ain't got no thoughts on the Super Bowl, huh?
I don't care. Not one
Super Bowl party at Jumbo House.
Yes, that's where it's going to be at.
I'm the person that shows up to the Super Bowl party and I'm in the kitchen talking loud while everyone's watching the game. They're like, shh. And I'm like, why? Is this the reason why we got together? Was to watch a football game?
Yep, that's fine. As long as you got some food, you can go in the kitchen and talk all you
That's
want.
why they got together.
Yeah, that's what you should be.
There's going to be some loud noise going on.
Keep it to stay in the kitchen. Just keep on bringing us the chips and you'll be good. That's how I
Work
like
more
it.
than bringing chips.
No, just bring the chips.
Screaming at the TV for no reason. Like they can really hear me.
But that's the beauty of sports, though, man. You scream at the TV for no reason, like they can really hear you. That's the beauty of it.
Sports, movies, TV
All right.
shows.
All right, man. We'll keep it moving here, man. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680 is the number. So we'll keep it moving, man. Let's talk about the State of the Union a little bit here. Did you guys get a chance to either watch or at least read what the president had to say last night?
I unfortunately didn't watch it last night, but this morning, my mom was like, "Hey, you missed the State of the Union, but I have to show you this one part that President Obama said." And of course, we all know the part where I believe he said, this is I'm no longer running any campaigns, and the Republicans, I would assume, started clapping. He was like, "Yeah, because I won both of them." And then he followed it on with a wink. I was like, wait a second. This is our president? Is this what? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Obama has so much swag, I was not surprised. You can tell that came out. He just came up with that on the fly, which even added to his just, look. That's just Obama. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you felt about it?
So anyway, I did end up watching it afterwards, and interesting to say the least. I did check out Twitter, like you said, and I checked out a bunch of the hashtags, and that made it a little bit even more interesting just to be able to see the other side and to see, Fox News tweeting, like, this was the least watched State of the Union address since, 2000, I believe. Maybe my year is off. But, everyone's just trying to pump out as much negativity as possible, and he didn't address Ferguson directly, and, all of the other sides to just kind of take me out of my President Obama world, and I'm just to be able to see the other side was interesting as well. So,
well, I'm glad you saw the other side and came back to reality,
yeah,
and stayed away from the smoke and mirrors, because that's what things like that do. They actually put that smoke and mirror, and people forget that America is really Hollywood. So, come back to reality, get off of that crush on that
honestly,
that football
he
player.
Just gets on screen and I'm just in a dreamy mode. And then afterwards I'm like, okay, what did he say now?
Yeah.
What was he talking about for an hour?
Yeah, he was talking nothing to black people. I know that much.
He didn't talk
Why
to
did
black
it take
people
it to
last
the
night, bro.
race? Why
Did
did
he
it take it
address
to the black and
Ferguson?
white?
I mean,
He did
Kind
address.
of.
He,
Oh,
he
kind of.
He didn't
acknowledged-
say
kind of-
Ferguson.
I'm just saying you've been in
but-
office for a little bit of time now. You can go ahead and handle our issues.
Do we have to make it a whole black and white thing
I mean,
all the time?
that's why we did, and now I voted him in office for that reason.
Because he was black?
Yeah, we establish this every show.
That's it?
We establish that every show.
Oh.
Yeah, Herman Cain could have got it now, but you know what? I'm gonna give you a try, brother. That's how it was gonna be. I was gonna give him a try. And you know what? I'm sure Jason Henry voted the man in that too because he was black too. If Jason Henry was on the phone, Jason Henry would agree.
Jason Henry is
He's
on the phone, actually.
actually.
Jay Henry, is that why you voted him in the office, Jay Henry?
Absolutely, because he was a black man.
There you go. There you go.
There has to be more to it. I don't believe that.
Jason Henry won for office. Guess who I'm voting for?
Jason
Henry.
And why?
Because he's a black man. Don't let Jason Henry be vice president. Oh boy. I think I might have to go ahead and do something to the first president just to get the vice president.
These are the views of
Yeah,
Mike.
don't talk like that.
I have nothing to do with that. You get echo on your phone?
But you do subscribe. I know you do subscribe.
Oh, no, I subscribe to the black president. I already told you. Hey, I gave my views last week. I told you.
We do it every time, but
I told you.
people just don't understand it. We're just waiting on him to address our issues. Just, hey, I want to say this about Ferguson directly. I want to say this directly. And then, sadly, I would be looking at the screen like you, Jumbo, and be like, oh, finally, wow, oh. And that's how I want to feel, too. But, address the things that I want you to address. I mean, I got to cut a check. That's what I got to basically. I got to cut a check for you to address my issues, basically.
Yes.
It would help, that's for sure.
Yes.
I mean,
Jay Henry, tell me what your thoughts were in the State of the Union last night.
I actually kind of agree with that, man. I know a lot of people were waiting for the president to address Ferguson, to address New York, for him to address Cleveland, for him to address California, and it just never came. I mean, the moment where he said, you have to sympathize or empathize with the father who worries about his child being bullied, and the wife who waits for, her police officer husband to walk through the door at night. He's trying to use a broad brush to be inclusive of everybody. But, the struggle and the movement that started isn't really one of inclusion. It's
Right.
actually one of exclusion, if you want me to be honest. So, I don't know. The juxtaposition is, you have a black president where a lot of African Americans feel prideful in, and they should. And the other side of that is you have a black president who doesn't really address issues that impact the black community. So it kind of leaves a donut hole, if you will, or a gap where, some black people just aren't sure. There's some type of conflict where, you want to protect him against, so-called Republican insults and the things that people throw his way. But at the same time, you want to feel that the struggle and, the inefficiencies and the feeling that, you may be inadequate as an American, you want to feel that he addresses those. And, when you have the nation's attention and the nation's ear, and you don't feel that and you don't see that, what do we automatically turn to? Well, he's hopeful. At least he was hopeful. We have hope that things are going to change. We always flip to that when the issues that we care about and we fight so hard for aren't addressed, or, we kind of hang on to something that we may find in his speech. Well, he did say harass. Well, he did say this, he did say that. And that's not necessarily a critique. It's more of an observation that, you're just waiting for him to give you a little bit more. And, I mean, I know this Jimmy may enjoy this one. If you haven't got it in 6 years, you're not going to get it in 8.
I was just going to say that, brother. Yeah, we've been waiting on him to address black issues directly for 6 years now. And so I think at this point, we got to let it go. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so we just have to let it go. I mean, he came as close as he was going to do that on a national platform. Now he has, he's done that little slick stuff where he's, talked about different things that have happened to him and Michelle in their experiences growing up and stuff like that. So he's gone there, but he's never just going to get up on any podium for that matter, especially on the national stage, and just come out and say it how we feel he can say it as a black man. He's not going to do that. So for us to keep waiting and hoping and our fingers are crossed, I think at this point, I don't think it's going to happen. As you can kind of see it as the way it plays out, Eric Holder steps out there, and Eric Holder has stepped out there and kind of said some of those things that you would expect a black man to say. But the president, he's not going to do it. He's going to let people like Eric Holder do it. He has his man now. Tickle me, but on that one, but
I don't know how I feel about it.
But so obviously he's going to step out and do that, but he personally is not going to do it. He might say, what I'm saying, I have no doubt he says to Eric Holder how he really feels. I have no doubt he talks to Al Sharpton and how he really feels. But to the country, he's going to keep it on that line and slightly on the other side of it, just to make sure he stays in the quote unquote middle.
Exactly.
Well, I think that Michael made a good point that, they kept making a big deal that this is the first president in history to mention lesbian, gay, and, transgender in the State of the Union speech. You said, I have to write you a check basically for you to pay attention to what's important to me. And the reason why so many in the LGBT community have access, it's not because, this is necessarily the issue of the day, which it has become, equality for everybody, but it's because they have so much disposable income and they are fueling so many political campaigns across the country that they are forcing you to pay attention. And comparatively, black people or black candidates or, black PACs or whatever it may be just don't have the capital, the power, and maybe the money, the political capital, I should say, maybe the money to go after or to make people pay attention to some of those issues. And maybe it's because we've been splintered on so many things where, respectability politics is one portion of our issue, and assimilation politics. And, we have so many different levels about how we feel about certain things, from, sagging pants to using the correct language. Whereas with the, LGBT community, they're just like, look, these are a few issues that we want. We're going to throw you a bunch of money for you to pay attention to it. If you don't, we're going to move on to the next person. And we just haven't, we haven't grasped that yet.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. I think that we have a lot of negatives, and it's a lot that needs to be fixed. And if we get past that laziness and that complaining, we can actually come up with a list. But, I think that if we came up with a list, somebody will complain about the list that we came up with for each other. And then if we did actually get the list, man, we'd be too lazy to give it to them. So, you know what I'm saying? We ain't going to
drive the list.
Man, I don't even feel like
I don't
emailing.
feel like driving.
I don't even feel like, man.
It's a lot of negatives, bro.
I'm just, hey, that's just two. That's just two.
So basically you're saying we can't come together in order to be able to really progress our quote unquote movement forward.
No, yeah, basically. I mean, as you just said about Mr. President Barack Obama, if he ain't did it in 6 years, he ain't gonna do it in 8. So I guess I'm saying if we ain't did it in 500, how many years we done been? I don't think we gonna. I don't know. Now, sometimes I'm Puerto Rican. Sometimes I jump on the Puerto Rican boat just because I look Puerto Rican. Cause
I can see that.
Sometimes it's easy to do that. Like,
I mean, to be honest with you, because I was talking to a friend of mine today about that lazy disease that we have, and we just it's really just been embedded in us through over the years. I remember the music that we was listening to back in the day. We're just like, I don't care, and who cares, and I don't even care. It's all about me, and I don't care, and I ain't got time for that. It's the new saying these days. It's 2015, and we still saying the same thing. We're just saying it in a different way. The new saying is, ain't nobody got time for that. I ain't finna email Obama no list about our demands. Ain't nobody got time for that. He already know he black, and that's what we be saying. And it's kind of like, come on now.
Did you email?
I've sent multiple letters, and I'm so serious about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of concerns that I want to see change, but ain't nobody listening to me. Who am I?
You ain't got time for that, huh?
They don't got time to listen to me. I got time to write the demands. Oh, yeah. I wrote a lot of complaints, but ain't nobody listening to me.
Got you, man. Jim, what's your comments, man?
I don't expect him to say anything. Never did I expect him to say anything. To be honest with you, nor did I care that he said anything. Somebody be the first, he the first. I'm riding with you, dog.
Actually, the second, but okay.
I mean, seriously, the first person, it's like, let's like say Jackie Robinson couldn't come out and punch nobody, right?
Right.
Okay, then. But, hey, but ask, what's the boy name? Ask Deion Sanders, will he swing on somebody if he had to when he was playing baseball? If he had to, he would have did it, right?
Probably.
That's what I'm trying to say. Ask Josh. Well, okay, let me take it a little further. Okay, past Jackie Robinson. Ask Josh Gibson to get a chance to get it. But ask Satchel Paige. Not Satchel Paige. I can't. Bob Gibson. That's his name. The one that pitched for the Cardinals. He would have hit somebody if he had to.
So you're saying he's the first he really can?
He's the first, you know,
Can't
and
step
he
on
understands
the
his
other
significance of the first. So he probably feel like, oh, well, I can't be. Oh, we got to say the black people president. You know what I'm saying? I just need to come in here and just do my Democrat thing. Because at the end of the day, that's what he is. You know what I'm saying?
I could see that point, but
Ain't no buts. That's what he
at this
did.
stage of the game, it doesn't matter what he does because there's nothing you can do to him anymore. As he stated last night, I've won 2 elections.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He is, but you got to remember, it still ain't over with. He's still a young man. He got the rest of his life to live. But he doesn't have to live.
He's got the rest of his life to live, but he doesn't have the rest of his life to be on a national stage where he commands the voice of the people.
He always gonna be on national stage. He's the first black
for
president.
2 hours.
As long as he walked this earth, he always gonna have a voice. Why you think they keep putting cameras in Jimmy Carter's face? They still put cameras in Jimmy Carter's face, and everybody talking about how he was one of the worst presidents.
I get that he'll have a platform, but I mean,
what else you need?
The difference is there's not going to be a pause in the nation for 2 hours in 2 years. The nation's not going to pause just to hear what he has to say.
The nation didn't pause last night.
The nation didn't pause last night.
I'm just going to be honest with you. Because I was out and about. There was a whole lot of people not on the TV.
I'm not talking about, you don't have to be watching. But
I guarantee you,
every news station covered what he had to say.
If he would have said something to the nature of what we're waiting on him to say, they would have been mad. They didn't pause. They would at least would have went back and checked it out. They would have went back and let me.
A lot of people go back and see the highlights of the State of the Union.
You would have went back and listened to the whole thing.
If
he would have said something,
unless Jesus himself to the whole thing. Me personally.
I mean, you say that, but let President Barack Obama would have said, I
don't care what that man said.
There was no Underground Railroad. They would have said something like that. You would have been like,
I would have came in, y'all. No, because what happened? Jim would have texted me. Said Obama said wasn't no Underground Railroad. I said, oh wow, that's interesting. And I'd have kept it moving.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what do you think about some of the other promises that he did mention, Jason? Obviously he brought up his community college initiative that he wants to put forth. What do you think?
Well, I mean, overall, I thought the speech was vintage, Barack Obama, where it was, almost like a stump speech, so to speak, back in maybe 2008, 2009, when he had the wind at his back and he had all this political capital. And, I'll leave that part alone. But it just sounded, like, he was emboldened to do something. Like he knows this is my next to last speech, where my last State of the Union is going to be, like a farewell speech, whereas this one, he's saying, this is what I want to get done. I'm trying to set my people up, my party up for 2016, so I'm going to be bold in what I'm attempting to do. I know that Republicans are going to say no, so that's going to hopefully put Democrats in a better position next year when, whether it's Kamala Harris or Hillary Clinton or Vice President Joe Biden, whoever decides, whoever the party picks to be the nominee, we can say, look, we were for equal pay before anybody else. We were talking about, equal rights for everybody. We were talking about free community college, and Republicans all said no. So why would you want that type of attitude in the White House in 2016? That's honestly what I thought that speech was about. Besides it just being a pep rally, I thought that he was trying to set his party up.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you listen to some of his topics, and you listen like the community college. Free community college. I mean, we talked about this last week. It's a bold and exciting idea, but with a Congress controlled by Republicans, to spend, I think he said it was going to be like $60 billion or something like that over 10 years. To get them to agree to do that when we're, $500 million or so in deficit right now, it's like, we all know that that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
you're not going to get this Congress to do that.
I think he knows that too. It's a good idea, and it's something that I think a lot of people, even Republicans, can get behind. But at the end of the day, I think he knows that Republicans are going to say no. So he can go out and talk about this across the country. He said he's going to crisscross the country. He's going to come to Selma in a couple of months. He's going to go to Boise, Idaho, talking about all these initiatives. And the one thing that you're going to hear him say is that Republicans have already said no. Republicans already said they're going to do this, and they're going to send me the Keystone Pipeline or whatever, and I'm going to use my veto pen and this and that. And it's him, being defensive instead of being offensive when he should have been that way in 2009 and 2010 when they had the majority. And now that they don't, it seems that we have all these great ideas at the most inopportune time in his presidency. I would have liked to have seen this when they had a majority in the House and the Senate, where you could have gotten a lot of these things passed. And now we're seeing some of the good things come out of it. And it's like, well, no, there's no way in the world Republicans are going to let you have this.
Right. Right. And like I said, they are going to set each other up. They're setting each other up to be the party of no and the president of no, for that matter. Because even if he talked about in his speech, basically outlining some of the ideas that he knows that they're discussing, and reiterated yet again that if they bring him to his desk, that he's going to veto them. So I think they're pinning each other into a corner to say, we're just going to veto no, or just not take up whatever your initiatives are, and we'll be back and forth to this whole high school mentality that we've had for the last number of years with this Congress as far as getting anything done. We want it this way. No, I want it this way. So I guess we can't have it no way. But
it's like, I can't have it. You can't have it. So I guess everybody else in between is going to suffer. And I think that's how our politics have turned out to be for everybody. And that's the state legislatures. Just look at what's happening in Florida. Alabama's another example. California, all these state, legislatures that were taken over by the Koch brothers a couple of years ago. They're just a microcosm of what's happening in Congress. So we send all these people back. You see these polls that say that Congress has one of the lowest approval ratings in the country. Overall, people have a low approval rating of Congress, but your individual congressperson, you may like Alan Grayson. He may have a 90% approval rating, but if Congress has a 3% approval rating, that doesn't match. So you keep sending the same people back. Something has to give. You don't like Congress, but you like a congressperson. Something isn't matching there. So, until we're able to reconcile or figure something out where, division doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to have gridlock, then we're going to have these same issues, whether we have a Democrat or Republican in the White House or controlling, both chambers. Then, we're going to keep having these same conversations over and over and over again.
Definitely. Another thing I found odd about his speech is he was touting, what was going on with oil. And I know I had read a few months back, as far as his administration, they've cut down different oil, what do they call them? They've basically cut back on how much oil can be dug on federal lands. But of course, we know the private community is pumping up as much oil, especially up in the Dakotas right now. They're pumping up as much oil and natural gas as possible, which is obviously, it's up overall because of what's happening in the private sector. So I found it funny that, he kind of touted and kind of his administration, quote unquote, took credit for what's happening with oil, because obviously that is also now, as Republicans have been saying for years, driving down the price of gas overall. And so I just found it interesting that he kind of took credit for that, even though, he's on the fence. Well, I'll put him on the fence as far as what to do with oil. But
the interesting part about that is I think they call it shelling, some type of, you don't really drill, I guess you steam something off of.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, if the price of oil continues to drop, a lot of those private organizations in the Dakotas and Alaska and Texas are actually going to start to go out of business, because we won't need as much of that production as we did when gas was $2.80, $3.20 a gallon.
That's what.
So now,
I'm sorry. That's a lot. It's kind of off subject. But actually, I was reading an article a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying that's what they think OPEC is up to. That's why they're keeping the prices down. They're trying to run them out of business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for him to take credit for it, and for Republicans to come back and say, well, we've been doing this for a couple of years, and this is why, these are going down. Not necessarily. It's not because we have so much production that's driving the price of oil down. Because it's OPEC who, sets that price. And there was a Saudi prince a couple of weeks ago who said that he doesn't think that we will ever see $100 for oil, traded $100
again,
per barrel. He said, I don't think we're ever going to see that again. And Saudi Arabia has almost $1 trillion in foreign reserve money in their coffers, based off of how much, oil was trading at just a couple of years ago. So when you have, places like Saudi Arabia and Iran and Venezuela, where a lot of their economy is based off of oil production and oil prices, like 60% of, their money comes from that. A place like Saudi Arabia, they're cool because they're like, look, it helps us if we can have oil trading at $100, $120 a barrel. But if it drops to $50, maybe $40 a barrel, we still have enough in our reserve to take care of us for a few years. So we're okay. And to your point, yes, you're trying to drive these private entities out of business so that we can control more of the world's supply instead of what's coming out of, these private entities.
Well, we'll see what happens. I did read that article too, by the Saudi prince, I believe you're referring to.
Yeah,
he did an interview. Yeah,
which, by the way, I'm perfectly fine with him saying that. I don't want to see $100 a barrel again. I'm okay with paying $1.88 for gas.
I know that's right.
Oh, you got $1.88 down there in Alabama, huh?
Sure, help me out.
We haven't made it to $1.88. We are like,
we live in large, man. It's
I seen $1.95, but I ain't seen $1.88.
Yeah, I seen $1.97.
I got the ditty, man. It's snooty. Like I was coming from the gym one night and I thought like I need to get some gas. And I saw a sign that said $1.95. I was like, y'all crazy. It's $1.88 down the street.
That 7 cents was just too much.
Hey, I'm with you. I drive on the other side of the city for 2 cents.
Right?
And it sucks because I used to kind of wait till the last minute. I have 5 miles until I'm out of gas. Now I'm like, it's half a tank. Let me fill up before the gas goes back up.
Okay.
Let me make sure I get this $1.98.
Okay, like for me, $5 is gas money again. So
you know what I'm saying? I miss them days. You be like, man, I got $5 to put in the tank. Boy, that thing it'll do something again now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
saying? It's giving you a few gallons instead of you just like, oh man, I got 5. Okay, I think I can make it to work, but I may have to stretch the change up again. Not anymore. It's like let me throw 10. You know what? I'm gonna live large and throw $10 or $11 in there. That should be good for the week.
That's awesome, man. The last topic that he mentioned here I wanted to talk about was minimum wage. Minimum wage was the other one, big one that he referenced. Of course, he's a big advocate for raising the minimum wage, and again, he's going against the Republican Congress, and most Republicans don't believe people should get more for their money, but they don't believe raising the minimum wage is the way to get them that money. A lot of them advocate more for tax breaks in some sense of the word, and that sort of thing. And again, it's like great ideas, but like, dude, give me something that you're actually going to work with somebody on, and actually accomplish. Because this is like this is a non-starter. You can't get a hike in minimum wage with the cats that are running the Congress right now. It's just not going to happen. Give us some stuff you can actually do. That's what I'd like to see you do. Give me some ideas you can actually make and put into action. Let's talk about that.
It's not going down. You're absolutely right. Minimum wage is not going to go up. They're not going to hike that. What's interesting to me, or how I framed or viewed when he mentions things that he'd like to see, like a hike in the minimum wage, equal pay for women, wage growth. And by the way, and this isn't necessarily just on him, presidents really have to start using the word poor more often. I understand, when you say middle class, you think you're being all-encompassing. That's not true at all. We have a lot of people in the working poor, and I know, that minimum wage hike is supposed to be geared toward them, but I believe that woman that he kept referencing that was in the audience, she's not in the middle class anymore.
Yeah, the Rebecca lady in Ben or
something. Yeah, Rebecca,
like
she could be considered working class or maybe functioning upper poor class, whatever you want to call it, but that's no longer the middle class. But at any rate, the way that I viewed it is that the easy part is for us or for him or for, Democrats to pose these ideas that are not going to get pushed through Congress because of Republicans. And they always say, well, let's work together on this, or, they're the party of no. Well, if we compare that to how many African Americans are feeling, where you say, okay, well, why don't we, have an open and honest conversation about police brutality, about some of the things that are happening in the African American community, whether it pertains to crime or low wages or lack of educational opportunities or economic opportunities. If you presented that in the State of the Union, you would get the same reaction. You would get the same pushback from Republicans that you would get for talking about issues that are lightweight. So when you say, yeah, you know what, that's a non-starter, you're absolutely right. Well, we know some of these things are going to be non-starters. We know that already. We know before we read the speech. They put the speech up, an hour or 2 hours before he even gives it.
Yeah.
So you cherry pick the things that you're like, okay, no, Republicans are going to say no to that, no to that, no to that. Okay, well, if we know they're going to say no to that, if we know that they have have no appetite for working with you on systemic issues, why don't we just go ahead and be blunt and potent with our language and say that, you know what, we need equality in this country. We need to talk about, being a police officer is a dangerous job, but only 50 police officers were killed in the line of duty last year, and some of those were accidents. Some of those were not necessarily killings. Not taking anything away from the life of a police officer, but it is not in the top 10 of the most dangerous jobs in the United States of America. So if we're talking about the over 1,000 people that were killed at the hands of a police officer, we're talking about high crime rates in urban centers across the country, if we're talking about lack of economic opportunity, if we're talking about education opportunities that are not extended toward African Americans and so-called minorities, if we're talking about these issues that are impacting communities of color all across the country, why is it so tough for us to get somebody, doesn't even have to be the president, somebody, not Al Sharpton, who was in cahoots with the FBI to bring back Assata Shakur from Cuba some years ago, somebody credible to bring these issues forward, because we know that they're going to say no. So then you can draw a clear line in the sand instead of saying that, well, we think that person may have racial tendencies or prejudice tendencies, so to speak. Go ahead and draw a hard line in the sand. Show us where you stand there. Tell us that, okay, well, you know what, the president wants to submit this legislation about police brutality. If they go ahead and say, no, we're not doing it, that's a non-starter, then you can say, all right, well, we know where you stand. We know where you stand on minimum wage, so let's find out where you stand on those issues. So I don't know. That just kind of played in the back of my mind when I'm viewing and I'm listening to him talk, and we know these things aren't going to happen.
Right.
Well, let's talk about some of the issues. If we have unrest across the world and in the United States, we have this speech filled with hope about things that we know aren't going to happen, why can't we talk about the things that really need to go down?
Right. And like you say, it's about putting it out in the air, just like he's putting these non-starters in the air. If you can talk about a minimum wage, just talk about what happened in Ferguson directly. Because again, if you don't, they're gonna hate you for saying minimum wage. They're gonna hate you for talking about Ferguson. So just let them hate. And
here's the thing. They're going to hate you regardless. Whether you have on a suit or whether you have dreads or whatever it may be, they just hate you. The people who hate you are going to hate you no matter what you say. They're not going to work with you because they hate you regardless. Look how clean-cut Obama looks, and look how many people still hate and despise him. It doesn't matter what you look like. They just hate what you are. So you don't necessarily have to give them additional reasons to hate you. That's a cop-out, saying that, well, he can't say these things because they're going to hate. No, they already hate him. I didn't know that. I didn't know we had levels of hate. I thought hate was the end game. If you hate somebody, you hate somebody.
Right. As they say, if you got haters, you're doing something right? I would disagree in this case, but
I think sometimes we overlook the fact that bruh from Hawaii, man, it ain't like he grew up in a urban center. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
the background is totally different.
Because I really think that's why he doesn't see things like we see it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like his experience is different from an adolescent.
I don't think it is, though.
No, I think it is. I mean, from an adolescent experience. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing. Okay, when he was grown, he got to school. Obviously, he went to Ivy League school. I'm sure. He got his wake-up call a couple times, but it's different from being that aware from an adolescent.
I don't think it's, I don't think that's the reason why he does or doesn't do what he does.
I'm not saying that, but no, this is what I say, because I think it's a difference in his attitude. Let's say, like, I'm just assuming everybody I've ever heard of being from Hawaii, they don't have an aggressive attitude at all. Mm-hmm. They all laid back. It's just everything is chill.
Well, see, what about the dudes that wrestle in the diapers? What they called?
Sumo wrestlers.
There you go.
They from Japan, though.
Oh, well, I guess you're right.
And Samoans now, Samoans have a history of being racist.
Right. See, now you get on Samoans, that's a whole nother thing.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying, that island has, it looks good on TV, but
Right.
if you live there, you can have a different experience.
Right, but I don't think that's it. I mean, I think if you look at some of the people that he surrounds himself with, you know, even if he
That's
quote,
them
unquote,
people.
doesn't have
that's them people around him.
But I think
That's
it
not
matters,
him.
though,
That's not him.
Because if those are your friends, you talk to each other.
But that
For
don't
instance,
mean,
he has.
But that don't mean you
Al
carry
Sharpton
the
is-
same.
Al
That don't mean
Sharpton
you.
is his right hand, whatever guidance guy. I don't know
And,
whatever
and
he's called.
that's problem number one.
And see, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, his ear is-
and I would say this. I would
it's
say
full
this.
of controversy.
If no matter who if you know your boy talk too much, or you think your boy is irrelevant, or he just say some stuff that just don't got no business saying, you know you not gonna say him. Or you know maybe his attitude ain't always right. That don't mean you can't talk and listen to him though. But you're not gonna come out and say, well, you know, even if you agree with him, you're like, man, they gonna look at me like I'm crazy, and they already know I hang with this cat.
I think that's a publicity stunt, though. You know, of course. Oh, the Reverend Al Sharpton is his mentor, of course.
Not mentor. It's more a spiritual leader or something, probably.
Right. Now, if we go back to Jeremiah, what was the brother name? Jeremiah.
Right. Yeah.
Jeremiah. Now him. Now that is a different story. Him I can respect as the mentor, the spiritual leader, or whatever. But then when they switched it up and said it was him, it's like, hold on, man, some kind of propaganda.
And you know what?
I
And
smell
that
turkey.
that was done on purpose because
Thank you.
now
Yeah,
that,
it was.
Yeah, that was a black brother they were afraid of. They were like, "Well, we got to get this cat.
Got to
out of
change
here."
that.
Right.
Exactly.
Now you were talking about the people around him. They got the people around him got him away from him.
And that's the one they should have kept him around because he would have been then addressing our issues. But look at the brother they got him around. No, come on, man. That's your president.
Yeah, anybody that talks to the
Yours
FBI
too, remember? Because that's why you voted for him.
me.
You know.
I mean, I voted for him once, okay? 4 years ago.
Again, though, I don't think it's not that he doesn't know these things. I think he just makes a conscious decision not to address them.
That's what I'm saying. I know he knows. I'm not talking about whether he know him, but I'm talking about actually physically saying. You know, a lot of us think a lot of different things, but everybody doesn't have the gumption to say everything. But I honestly believe, like, if he grew up in more of an aggressive environment, I bet you he wouldn't have necessarily a hesitance about saying any of these things. Because
I can get with that actually.
because it's like now he would have like, well, I don't care. Hey, it's my second term, man. They can't do nothing to me. You know what I'm saying?
But if he had that attitude, he probably wouldn't be in the position that he's in.
No,
Yeah,
but everybody got a part to play.
And he playing it.
And I believe anybody's smart. You think all these brothers in these executive positions on these boards in these Fortune 500 companies, you think they don't go with their family and get the real person? You understand what I'm saying?
So wait,
Like,
you're saying that if he grew up in a different neighborhood, a different environment,
I
that
believe
he would have played a different part as being like the more aggressive?
No. I believe at this point, if he grew up in a different environment, at this point, second term, you can't do anything to him. He would be a little more aggressive in what he spoke, as far as really not just understanding, but really not caring. Like, oh, they can't do nothing to me.
I mean, but he's still going to be.
I mean, I made it to the highest point. I mean, I've been the president. What else can they say?
Assassinate you. But other
Yeah,
than that,
they can, but, you know.
he's still a puppet. I mean, you know, he's
Yeah,
going to
he
do what
still
they
has a
tell him to
team,
do.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's like
at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying. When you grow up, when you grow up in a more aggressive environment, you tend to. Everybody learns. No matter what you do in life, everybody has to go and play some kind of game. What I mean is, change your character, so to speak. Or not character. Let's change your personality. Let's say, to fit in a certain environment.
Right.
Whether that mean back off your personality a little bit, or maybe that mean amp it up a little bit.
all right.
And you know, to the black people that get in real successful positions, a lot of times they have to amp theirs down, and a lot of them understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get to a certain position, you know, well, maybe not in the business world because it's different because you kind of never stop working. But when you get to like his position, maybe
There you go.
You know, it's
no
different.
going higher.
Right? You can't go
it's
no higher than that.
You
no
only
matter
gonna
what you
go down. I
Right.
understand what you're saying. So eventually, you trying to say Obama need to come with sagging pants and gold teeth.
No, I ain't say all that now. All I'm saying,
Show his true colors.
Show his true colors.
No, what I said was,
FUBU jacket on.
no, what I'm saying was his attitude would be more like when you saying, okay, you can't do anything about me, then I can say, you know what, y'all kill one more black person, I know something.
I think it's probably going to be when he's finally like out of office, when he really kind of.
But see, when he's out of office, it's not going to have as much effect.
Yeah,
I
but
think his
what's-
last year is when he gonna start jamming Tupac and my fofo. Make sure all your kids don't grow. Y'all kill one more black person. I think that's his last year. His last year in office. Or you gonna see the real Hussein. That's what you gonna see.
We know who's a dreamer.
I ain't say the brother had to go that far, but I'm
I'm
just,
just saying, y'all don't even know him as Hussein.
I just think his speech will be, might possibly change something because
Wait. You say his last year, everybody's gonna know him by Hussein.
Yeah, that's his gonna. Yeah, because we know him as Barack. Nobody knew him as Barack back in the day. In the streets, his name was Hussein.
Yeah, he was walking around Hawaii. They were like, man,
Oh, don't mess with Hussein.
They go Hussein.
They go Hussein, boy.
Hey man, put that up. Hussein, come.
No, what they were saying is Hussein coming. Who got that sack? Is what they were saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what they said in Hawaii.
That's when we find out, man. He's gonna be a ghostwriter for Biggie by the time.
He was already in the tag team video. I seen him myself
Man,
in the tag team.
man,
Whoop, there it
please,
is.
you
That was.
tripping,
I seen Barack in the video, man. Man, anybody. You can go. He's the brother. He got a hat. He got a watch.
I seen the
It's
video.
Barack
Yeah,
Obama.
watch.
You can go on there right now. You can
What's
go.
it called?
Whoop, there it is.
That was
by the
Barack. That was
group
Hussein,
tag
man.
team. That was Hussein.
That was Hussein.
That
That
was
wasn't
Hussein.
That wasn't Barack.
Before you knew him as Barack, you like, no, don't even call me Hussein.
So he got an alter ego, Sasha Fierce.
I mean, you never know.
Actually, he has three. His law school, he was Barry. In the streets, he was Hussein. As president, he's Barack.
There you go.
Hey, what did I tell y'all? When you go, you have to.
You got to get different.
You got to change.
You got
your
to be a chameleon. I mean, and that's how you do it in this industry, especially when you're in politics. You got to know how to, like younger brother said, you got to know how to either go forward a little more or take it back a little more. And I think Hussein, aka Barry, aka Barack Fizzy, he did a good job. He did a good job. at what he
Let's
did.
put it this way: we all have our work voice, and we all got our at-home voice.
And we all know. We all got that job interview voice.
Yeah.
And we got that after we get off the interview voice.
We right between Barry White and Michael Jackson at the job. Just alto enough not to sound aggressive.
I can't with y'all cats, man. I can't with y'all cats today. Hey, Rick, one last thing. We winding down here. What are your thoughts on MLK? I was thinking about MLK Day, and I don't know if you guys saw, but SNL did a skit this past weekend.
Yes, that was kind of funny.
Where they had a young man who was supposed to be writing a paper about Martin Luther King Jr. and Martin Luther King Jr. appeared to him as a ghost, and they were talking, and as Martin found out, apparently there's a lot of mountains to climb, as he says. but as I thought about it, though, I think when you think about the things that he fought for, I think we've actually accomplished a lot of those things. I mean, I obviously think we got a ways to go in some different areas, but I think that some of the things that they were fighting for, as far as that kind of overall equality, you can kind of do what you want, if you will. I think I was thinking we kind of achieved that if you look at it. We're certainly not being held back from doing anything. Maybe certain doors are closed because of some of the access, but the opportunities are always there for us. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, I think overall, quickly, his legacy has been so whitewashed to the point where we feel like he's a teddy bear now.
I know.
I mean, seriously, we hear the one portion of that long speech where he talked about having a dream. Well, the crowd was trailing off; they were starting not to pay attention. And Mahalia Jackson said, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." And that's when he went into his spiel about "I have a dream." And I feel like we, mainly the other community, has picked that portion out to say that we are going to soften his radical legacy out as much as we can. Mm-hmm. Martin Luther King was fighting against capitalism. If you listen to his speeches toward the end of his life, especially against Vietnam, he talked about, cashing a check that bounced. You know what I mean? I know that, it angers me a little bit when I see, we have these Martin Luther King breakfasts that we have and all of these panels and everything, and that's cool and all. But if we don't talk about the true legacy of what he was about, then we are going to continue to believe that what he dreamed about is an accomplishment. Like Jay-Z the other day said that, hip-hop has done more for race relations in this country than any civil rights icon, which is BS, number one. And the second part, he keeps saying that Martin's dream has been fully realized because we have Barack Obama in the White House. That is the accomplishment of what they wanted to do by whitewashing his legacy, for us to believe that Martin's only hope in this world was for us to elect more African Americans, because voting was only one part of what he was fighting for. One part of it. It wasn't the entire thing. So when we talk about Martin Luther King, we always talk about voting and being, being better engaged citizens and all of this. He was fighting against capitalism.
Yeah.
Capitalism. He was fighting against the evils of America, and we still haven't grasped that part of it.
Well, it's not really being taught, when they control
I was about to say that.
the curriculum guide. When you live in a country that you're supposed to be free, but they teach you what they want you to learn the way they want you to learn it. They're not going to teach you about the Indians. They're not going to teach you what they want, what you need to learn about Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. They definitely not going to teach you about Malcolm X. So you really have to get those people in the community to have that information to stop complaining, stop being lazy, and get out there and each one teach one. But until that happens, if you're waiting on the school system to teach you that, if you're waiting on college, if you're going to pay for that African American class, you're still not going to get that. It has to be the people in the community, saying like younger brother and brother Real and brother Henry and me, got to get out there in the community and actually teach these people, what's going on. But until we got people like us that actually gets out there with the microphone in a 808, how are we going to get the message out there?
I mean, think back to when you were in school during Black History Month. What did you do? You connected the dots of Martin Luther King's head. You colored in the color of the bus.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
you don't do anything. You don't
that.
learn anything. You have maybe about 2 classes in the entire month where it's dedicated to reading just a bare minimum of Black history. You know about maybe 3 different people.
That's it.
All thing I'll say is this. Go look up the history of Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Stokely Carmichael, and that'll give you a better understanding of what Martin was trying to fight against.
Say the names again.
Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, and Stokely Carmichael.
We'll do.
There you go. That's interesting. Like I said, it is kind of distorted as far as what he believed, but we certainly made progresses, as they say.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think overall of what his message was, that's been completely lost.
Gotcha. Any other last thoughts you want to give us, Jason, before you get out of here, man?
That's it, man. I appreciate y'all always having me, even though I'm 600 miles away.
we always happy to hear your voice, Jason.
Anytime, brother.
I'm always happy to be here, and I'll keep enjoying this $1.88 gas until I start and try to change their mind.
There it is, man. We'll talk to you later, man. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Y'all be easy.
Make sure that you check out that Hoop There It Is video with Hussein on it.
Oh, yeah, 1 minute.
It's
Check it out.
1 minute, 102. 1 minute and 2 seconds. You will see Hussein. Oh, it's just 1
We
minute.
got Sis D on the phone. How you doing tonight?
Hi, good night. Praise the Lord. I just want to say, I was listening to you guys' conversation, right? And you guys are Christians, right? Born again?
Yes.
Okay. The Bible said that we should pray for those in authority, like the president and all those in the House of Representatives, because most of them, most of them not even Christians, and they are leading people, they are leaders, and there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of things that they have to go through. And I notice every leader that goes in the House, like every president, somebody always says something about them. I never heard they say any of them do good. But maybe if we was in their shoes, then we would like to know what they're bearing. It's not an easy road. If you notice, many of them go in there, especially President Obama, and he went in there as a young man. He wasn't gray, didn't have any gray hair. But because of the pressure and what he's going through, his hair is gray and everything. He wants to look like an old man instead of a young man. So we as Christians have to pray for them. Our duty is to pray, because it's only God can change the situation. Because you think about the Bible, what the Bible talk about, the days that we are living in, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard, even for Christians, as we go along. So what we have to do is pray for the president. He's not a bad person. Believe me, he's a very good man.
All right.
Jesus, thank you, Lord. Yesterday the Spirit came on me. He's a good man. But the devil is a liar. The devil, and you guys, it's not easy for him. He was a young man when he went in the White House.
Right.
And his hair started gray. That means he's going through pressure.
I hear you. I thank you for calling, Sister D. I got to get out of here.
I'm praying for you all. I know you feel, but all we have to do is pray, because every day the devil gets more vicious.
All right.
As children of God, we just have to pray for those that don't know Christ and the leaders and ourselves.
Thank
I'm
you.
praying for you all too.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Sister D.
Make sure you pray for me, definitely.
Yes, darling.
All
God
right.
bless. Have a
God
good
bless.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I agree with everything she said.
She has good points, but I think it's also our duty to voice our displeasure with those that want to lead. I think it's a part of the job that they signed up to do, and so we're gonna continue to do that. And want to appreciate y'all for listening. I appreciate you for listening to us. We want to again thank Jason Henry for calling in and talking with us as well. Shout out to Better. You didn't call in, Better, but hopefully you listened to at least some of the show. We will be here next week, of course, 9 p.m., Real Family Talk. Check us out on the web, too. Go like our Facebook page. Check out our website, realfamilytalk.com. And send us an email, too, if you have something you wanted to share that you didn't talk to us about on the radio, realfamilytalk@gmail.com. Y'all got any last-minute comments real quick, folks?
I do. If anybody else want to pray for me, make sure you do that. I am definitely open to prayers sent my way. Thank you. Sister D.
All right, man. We will see you next week. This is your host, Jay Real.
Thank you for listening to Real Family Talk. This is one of your co-hosts, Jeremy, a.k.a. Younger Brother. Tune in next week from 9 to 10 p.m. and every Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOKB 1680, your urban empowerment and inspiration station. See you.
My brother, my brother.
You're listening to 1680 WOKB AM, Winter Garden, Florida.